Welcome to Sensual Sequence Contents, home of romance and sensual life stories received and shared. My name is Willow and I have been working at a factory as a typist for 8 years. It's not exactly hard work, but it is demanding. I operate the stationary machine and keep an eye on the grain indicators. Things have happened over the years, but nothing like that evening. The day started out normally, nothing presented trouble. I showed up for my shift as usual at 5 p.m. that evening, checked the equipment, looked at all the gauges and got to work. Apparently I was either too tired or too absorbed in my thoughts and ended up missing an important signal on the remote control. The machine stopped abruptly, which provoked an incident. Our mechanic Antoine Jossome came running in. Antoine was an older man, probably in his 50s, and he had a tough reputation. Everyone was a little afraid of him. He was a big guy with a growling voice, and he wasn't shy about using commanding orders at the entire workshop. Antoine and I had this special relationship, different from the others. He was kind to me, spoke gently to me, and smiled only at me. Back to the story. Antoine rummaged through the mechanisms trying to fix them, and I stood there almost crying, realizing how badly I'd messed it up. He worked on it for an hour, his hands covered in oil and sweat streaming down his face, but eventually he managed to fix the machine and it started working again. I was sure he was going to yell at me or make me write a letter of explanation to the bosses. Finally my shift was over. I changed into my work clothes and headed to the locker room to finish my paperwork. There Antoine was sitting at his desk going over paperwork. I walked over to him, apologized for the incident and promised that it wouldn't happen again. He grinned stiffly and said, "I should reprimand you for such mistakes." I muttered, "Well, better a reprimand than a dismissal." I don't know why I said it, but I did. Suddenly, he stood up and walked closer. My whole body went cold. I've been married for 15 years, I have 2 almost grown children, and yet here I was and something unexpected was happening all around me. Before now, James, my husband, had always been a devoted provider, but over the years, he forgot that I needed more than just a roof over my head. He stopped asking about my day, stopped noticing the little things that made me smile, and slowly, the warmth between us faded. Conversations became routine, touches grew rare, and the bed we once shared with passion turned cold. His emotional absence left me feeling unseen, and with time, intimacy became nothing more than a distant memory of what we used to have. Now back to present day. Antoine pointed to the door of a small restroom. I followed him in calmly. Inside was a bed against the wall and a curtain over the window, faded from old age. My mind was blank, but my heart was racing. He walked in, closing the door behind him. "Why are you standing like a statue?" he said, his voice rough. This was not the way as expected to be treated, I mumbled to myself. I thought Antoine liked me from the way he always stared at me when I show up at work, and the way he treated me differently from the other staff in general. Or could it be that he likes it rough and edgy, I said to myself. Everything that happened after that was like a blur. There was no romance, no kisses, no passion. I remembered his callous hands, the smell of machine oil and, oddly enough, mint gum. When it was over, he mumbled, "Well, this is it." I was shaking and barely made it home. My husband asked why I looked so pale and I said I was just tired. I took a shower but I couldn't get it out of my head. I felt like I should feel different than usual, but instead it was like I was being pierced with electricity. Since then I've been tapping my heels louder when I walk past the workshop. Antoine pretends not to notice, but when everyone leaves, I linger after my shift. I know it's wrong, I know I shouldn't, but I couldn't stop myself. The first few times I lingered after my shift, I felt like my heart was going to jump out of my chest when I caught Antoine's gaze at me, but again, he didn't say a word. Is this all I'm worth to him, a one-time thing? I said to myself, but I persisted. I started spraying perfume on my hair and trying to look prettier. I even started wearing a little makeup to work, which I haven't done in ages. At the time my husband was happy, thinking that all this change was for him. He had no idea how he had emotional killed our marriage, even though I still cook his favorite meals, still laugh at his jokes, but in the back of my mind there's me, longing to belong to someone else, and it's Antoine. I know those moments in the restroom and my present thoughts shouldn't be happening. I know they go against everything I've built over the past 2 decades, but somehow it feels like this secret belongs to me. That it's just for me, away from the routine of my marriage and the predictability of my life. I want to feel desirable, to be desired in a way that shakes me to my core, and I thought I would have that with Antoine. One evening after my shift, I waited for hours at our quiet parking lot outside the office. I leaned against my car, arms crossed, while he walked towards me, a few feet away, hands in his pockets. The air between them is thick with unspoken words. My voice low and uneasy, I managed to say, "I just need to know what that day at restroom meant to you." He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Willow, it was a moment. That's it. You wanted to be reprimanded for damaging the machines. And I did exactly that, so it doesn't change anything." My stomach tightened. "So that's all it was for you? A moment?" Gently but firm he replied, "I thought we were on the same page. It happened, but we both have our lives. You have a husband." I swallowed hard, regret settled in. I don't know what I was thinking. I shouldn't have. I paused, exhaling shakily. "I need to fix my marriage." He nodded, offering a small, indifferent shrug. "Then do that." Silence. No anger, no pleading, just the harsh truth. I felt foolish, used, but most of all guilty. Without another word, I got in my car and drove away, determined to make things right before it's too late. I had convinced myself that the affair was an escape, a chance to feel desired again. But when I finally asked what the moment meant, the realization hit hard. I wasn't special to him, just a moment of pleasure. Guilt weighed heavy on my chest as I looked at my husband, the man who had always been there. I had made a terrible mistake, but I wasn't ready to lose my marriage. Determined, I vowed to rebuild what I had nearly destroyed. Hi guys. If you love romantic and intimate scenes that make your heart race, then you're in the right place. Here on Sensual Sequence, we bring you the most captivating moments filled with passion, chemistry, and pure emotion. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Let's build a community that appreciates the art of love and connection. Subscribe now and let's dive into the world of romance together.